Witness this new made world, another heaven from heaven gate not far, bounded in view on the clear higher line, the glassy sea, of amplitude almost immense, with stars numerous, and every star perhaps of a world of destined habitation. But thou knowest their seasons, among these the seat of men, earth with her nether ocean circumfused, their pleasant dwelling place. Thrice happy men and sons of men, whom God hath thus advanced, created in his image there to dwell and worship him, and in reward to rule over his works on earth, in sea or air, and multiply a race of worshipers holy and just, thrice happy, if they know their happiness and persevere upright. So sung they, and the Empyrean rung with hallelujahs. Thus was Sabbath kept. And thy request think now fulfilled, that asked how first this world and face of things began, and what before thy memory was done from the beginning, that posterity, informed by thee, might know. If else thou seekest aught, not surpassing human measures sing. Thus wrote the poet John Milton in Paradise Lost. And we began this video series in what may at least be described as a liberal construction of an account of a notable scientist, Dr. Richard Feyman, an astrophysicist from the prestigious Harvard University, in one of his rather popular works in which he attempted to extend his market bracket beyond the disciplines of the sciences, for which he was a noted authority, to other aspects of ordinary life, in a book appropriately titled, Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feyman. And we have focused our crudely crafted lens upon one particular vignette to which one might give the title in an expansive reading, The Devil and Dick Feyman, an encounter that he, a scientist of impeccable credentials, had had somewhere in the vicinity of a sin city called Las Vegas, a paradise for those with a paradise, with a wily Mephistophelian character presenting a Faustian deception, even upon approach, who had tempted him while he had been found lying by the waters of the pool. Been found lying by the waters of the pool at a motel to seduce him to take a little plunge in some unfamiliar waters way over his head, tempted by the allure of a life of leisure that this serpentine character by the pool had offered, and assured him that he had himself, even if not, at least from the account, appearing to be enjoying this assumed opulence at a location like the Venetian or Bellagio, which should have prompted some immediate concerns about signs of danger he might await further out on that invitation to hop aboard this luxury cruise. Any kid growing up in far-off Rockaway Beach should be familiar with the New York Lotto commercial. Remember to bet with your head, not over it, at one of our fine, convenient locations near you. Because to win it, you gotta be in it. And you look like a winner. Hello, my name is Major Mike Webb, and at least indirectly as a retired member of the intelligence community, recently, both the President and the United States Supreme Court have tasked me to report on a truly fascinating phenomenon, which may be of great interest, with as many as 3 in 10 Americans by December identifying themselves as nuns, not affiliated with any faith denomination, dealing themselves out the game at all. No faith. Up 6 points since the pre-pandemic estimate that had already found their numbers exceeding those affiliated with the Roman Catholic Church, which still yet remains the largest formal faith denomination. And in a community like Arlington, Virginia, that is the home of the most government scientists, with 75.3% of age-eligible residents holding at least a bachelor's degree, but where, according to Best Places, only 32.8% of the people in Arlington are religious, revisiting the battlefields of the 1925 Scopes monkey trial that had pitted Darwinian evolution against biblical creation theory is the most certainly what might fairly be described as formidable challenge, a David versus Goliath contest, to use the biblical image, but certainly a timely one, after what has been described as a purely scientific matter that has mostly adversely impacted the community of faith. It may be a timely opportunity to examine the relevance of faith in a modern post-pandemic aftermath of a 2-year period during which many places of worship, in the face of a public health crisis of unprecedented magnitude, had gone off into a wilderness and declared themselves non-essential in it. While according to the Pew Research Center, as many as 38% of the clergy have, over the course of the raging tides of infection, considered throwing in the towel. And so, where do we begin this sea-faring journey this time? A daunting task even today for fishermen and sailors shoving off to the deep, as much as it was for the ancients, fearing monsters, tempests, squalls, Scylla and Charybdis. A very natural apprehension whenever mortal man is confronted with that which is unknown, giving rise, at least for some, to the necessity of a quantum of faith, if only to summon the courage to persevere any further, or as Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. had described it, ascending a staircase without the ability to see with sight the next higher step, providing a substance of things hoped for and an evidence of things unseen. But some prefer to walk by faith in science and not by sight. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place. Let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. In this Abrahamic BIOGENESIS account that is preceded in the introduction by essentially announcing distinguishing rules of order after what amounts to a spontaneous generation of something from nothing, in contravention, certainly, to the established modern constructions of a natural order contained in the Newtonian laws of conservation of matter, distinguishing light from darkness and water from firmament, or sky and heavens. But no matter this pre-Hellenic account of biogenesis assigns that in this newly created order, that the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and only one, and then to let the dry land appear. And it is of at least probative value that listen and listen though man might at the heaven, and gaze and gaze though he might at the stars, he has yet to hear from the firmament any cognizable voice other than that of God before regarding where the water is. But for the moment, let's call on some faith to venture out into deep, dark, and dangerous waters of an unfamiliar science. Let's assimilate with the Baptists and their conception of immersion, baptizing ourselves in the Spirit that had moved upon the waters in the beginning, where the only account of waters presented in issue for debate with which we have to work in the Bible is this simple statement. God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered unto one place, and let the dry land appear," and it was so. And herein, the debate gets far more complicated than many passionate in this debate either comprehend or at least do not bother to fully articulate to full satisfaction, quenching the thirst of curiosity, knowledge, and truth. But fortunately, like the vision of Beatrice that had appeared to the poet Dante, when he found himself being chased by dogs while in a dark wood, I have a little bit of experience here. And it is the function of the intelligence officer on military staff at the tactical level to develop a detailed estimate of the opposing forces disposition, its strengths and weaknesses, its array of forces available for deployment in the area of operation and in reserve to commit to the flight, and also to provide a robust intelligence estimate of the terrain within the area of operation, noting the prominent geographic features as well as the illumination and weather with regards to their effects on continuing operation. Welcome to Fight Club. The only rule is that there are no rules. But would that not be an ordering rule? Rejecting the premise. And while it may not be popularly known or acknowledged, there is not much even in the science to reject what is written in the biblical account, recorded in a pre-Hellenic period regarding these significant events in the BIOGENESIS timeline. And accordingly, despite at least a facade of indomitable strength and authority, speaking as men of science, most problematic for those in the scientific community is that, as difficult as it has been for science to locate any planets yet in the universe with oceans, rivers, lakes, and streams, the abundant supply of a required element for life, looking for chemistry, as we know it on Earth, covering 71% of the surface, with 96.5% of that water contained in the oceans. It may come as a surprise to some that the scientific community is actually still debating from where this convenient abundance of water happens quite fortuitously to have arrived here on Earth. The only place in the universe, apparently, where we have obviously discovered also life, giving rise to this biogenesis equation. But the Bible said, "Be still and know that I am God, that I am," in direct revelation to Moses. God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place," and not assigning that aqueous substance, cool and refreshing, essential for biogenesis, to any other. And let the dry land appear. And it was so. So it was written, so it shall be done. And this flat rejection of a theory, simply because it is biblical, raises concerns in and of itself, as, at least in the scientific community, it has not even yet been proffered in any hypothesis or phenomenon that anyone has ever seriously attempted to investigate, so as to prove or disprove this aspect of the creation account recorded in the book of Genesis. Rather, men of reason and science have preferred on this academic point rather to cast their gaze upon the heavens, peering through powerful looking glasses, aided by statistical models, to launch an academic fishing expedition in search of a needle in a haystack of what appears to be an infinite universe, which, quite frankly, may be fascinating, but certainly not logical. And yet, certainly, at least coincidentally, the course that we took in a pandemic, rather than using trace contacts for case identification, going out for universal testing and letting COVID-19 walk to the test to let them know where it is. Certainly not the most efficient or effective means to prevent, mitigate, and identify where disease is in a population. If you were at a restaurant, perhaps even in Las Vegas, and you happen to glance at the table of another guest who happened to have an abundance of water, and if you did not know how to obtain water, having never been in a restaurant before, your country self, might not it be reasonable, unless you are just so bamified, as to inquire of that guest with the water in abundance, or simply attempt to observe inconspicuously how the water arrived at the table, to reasonably calculate exactly how you might be able to be effective at replication of those desired results. It appears, at least to one who is not a scientist, that this methodical process, very logical, would at least be a bit more efficient and save the waste of precious time as you die of thirst. At least, unless, like Richard Feyman, one might be able to coax some other like-minded investors to finance these bets. And you could sit there at that table all day and try to figure out how to get the water. And apparently the devil had been busy out in Las Vegas trying to tempt some others seeking a life of more relative ease, found out lying by the waters of the pool, And there are at least a few theories in science as to how exactly the water may have arrived only at our table at the Big Blue Marble Casino, in the desert of space, a virtual oasis, hitting the jackpot in biogenesis that has yet appeared to elude any others in a vast and infinite universe, which we shall take the time to examine, since apparently even these theories that continue to be the subject of debate has not yet aided our scientists in the bold mission to go where no man has gone before, seeking out new civilizations and life on other planets. Have not moved us any closer, kind of like our pandemic. While they bet and place high roller wagers at the casino, with apparently the money of others, on hope that one day, perhaps if we all work together, through statistics, they will hit the jackpot, betting with their head, not over it, at one of our fine convenient locations near you. Because to win it, you gotta be in it. And you look like a winner. Which may make common sense to you, just as the deal that Dick Feyman had made before he recognized that he needed to develop an effective plan to overcome the gravitational forces that had so effectively managed to find him always diverted from his journey to the Pacific Ocean, somewhere always around the vicinity of Las Vegas, requiring a quick extrication plan to get out of Dodge. Funny how that happens even to scientists, who should have developed some kind of natural immunity, one would think. And failure is not an option, especially when you are feeling parched out in the Nevada desert and just dying for a cool, refreshing drink of water. Yes, Dr. Feyman, right now I believe we could all use a nice cold glass of water and maybe an order of O-rings. So let's pause here, but next time let's cast off to swim with the sharks in the deeper waters beyond the safe harbors of nearby shore. Maybe even rock the faith of those without faith just on this topic of water in our scientific immersion program. And be sure to join us in baptism and fellowship through communion, drinking the deep gulps, gushing like rushing water through those plank boards that we rip up from our vessel going to sea. A simulated drowning experience, like laying on a waterboard, or lying, if you prefer. In the next video, as we discuss further the formula for being a winner at a big casino, and a story about a 1 in a trillion or more chance bet on a lifetime that was won, nonetheless, at this Big Blue Marble Casino, just relying on luck and serendipity, with no choices at all, as they say, but yet which apparently mankind could not do, even with the best technology and science during a pandemic visit by a novel coronavirus that apparently isn't stupid, and conquered the world without even one sentient thought. This briefing is unclassified, as you were. My name is Major Mike Webb, and by God, I am running for U.S. Congress this year, resolved to do the right thing, and we shall make America great again. Honest.
This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.
Thunk, I could have had a vaccine.